Lady Maximilian, the eldest daughter of the powerful Duke Croiso, had spent most of her life confined within the towering walls of her family's grand castle. Her father, ever obsessed with prestige, saw her stutter as a blemish upon their noble name, one he was unwilling to tolerate. So when she was forced into marriage with Sir Riftan Calypso, a low-born knight ensnared in one of her father's schemes, Maxi never dared hope for happiness, let alone love. Their wedding night was a disaster. Riftan, a man of few words and a hardened warrior, met her timid stammers with cold indifference. The following morning, without so much as a farewell, he was gone. Now, 3 years later, Riftan has returned, not as the nameless knight she married, but as a war hero. He has slain the Red Dragon Sector and won the admiration of kings. Rumors swirl that Princess Agnes, a powerful sorceress, has been offered to him in marriage. And yet, to Maxi's bewilderment, Riftan has come back to claim her. Maxi bit her nails, her heart pounding in her chest. What should I do? They say he is on his way. The maid, standing beside her sofa, hesitated before speaking. I hear the royal family is planning his betrothal to the princess. Perhaps he has come to annul the marriage. Maxi's breath caught. Do you really think that's why he's returning? She whispered, her voice unsteady. It's not my fault I haven't even heard from him in 3 years. Before the maid could respond, the door to her chamber swung open with a resounding crash. Maxi sprang to her feet, her body trembling as her father, Duke Croiso, strode inside, his cane tapping sharply against the marble floor. Without warning, he swung the cane toward her. She flinched, squeezing her eyes shut, waiting for the pain. Have I not warned you time and time again about that filthy affliction of yours? He spat. You useless thing. Maxi swallowed hard, keeping her head bowed. Duke Croiso scoffed. Riftan Calypso is no longer a mere lowborn knight. He is the hero of the battlefield, the man who slayed the Red Dragon. The church would gladly grant him an annulment if he so wishes. Her heart pounded painfully against her ribs. The Duke exhaled harshly, rubbing his temple. And now there's talk of a betrothal to the princess. What kind of man would want a stuttering wife? His lip curled in disdain. Why were you unable to captivate him on your wedding night? This wouldn't be an issue if you were even half as beautiful as Rosetta. Maxi's fingers curled tightly into the fabric of her dress. No, if only you were normal, the Duke continued bitterly. Then I wouldn't have to grovel. Tears burned at the edges of her eyes, but she held them back. Her voice was barely above a whisper. But he left for the campaign a day after the wedding. The Duke's expression darkened. Without hesitation, he raised his cane and struck her hard across the side. Maxi let out a small cry, collapsing to the floor as pain shot through her ribs. Don't you dare talk back to me, he roared. The mere thought of that disgraceful stutter of yours infuriates me. The eldest Croiso daughter, discarded by some lowly knight, I will not allow you to drag our name through the dirt. He lifted his cane once more. A sharp knock at the door stopped him. Your Grace, the knights have arrived, a soldier announced from the hall. Duke Croiso clicked his cane against the floor in irritation. Even as he turned away, his voice dripped with disdain. If Riftan Calypso refuses the princess, I cannot leave this matter in your hands. He glanced back over his shoulder. If you fail to stop the annulment, there will be consequences. The priest, who had been standing quietly behind, stepped forward and knelt beside Maxi. He murmured a prayer, his hands glowing faintly as he channeled healing magic into her bruises. The Duke paid no mind to her pain as he made his way out. Lead them to my drawing room, he ordered coldly. Alone in her chamber now, Maxi stood by the glass-pane window, staring at the distorted reflection of herself. What will happen to me now? She whispered. A hopeless thing like me could never change his mind. Her fingers trailed over the cold glass as self-doubt gnawed at her insides. If I were even half as beautiful as Rosetta, as father said, would Riftan have still left that day? Her memories drifted back to 3 years ago, the day of her wedding. The great halls of the Croiso estate buzzed with hushed whispers and muted laughter. A lowly knight marrying a duke's daughter. His greed knows no bounds, someone murmured. Another scoffed. That knight, Riftan Calypso, isn't the one to blame. The duke orchestrated this marriage. I pity the girl, another voice added. His grace used her because she was always ill. A nobleman chuckled. This union was nothing but a transaction. The moment King Reuben summoned the nobles for the dragon-slaying expedition, Duke Croiso passed his duty to Riftan in exchange for her, useless Maximilian Croiso. Maxi stood quietly in the shadows, listening. But I know the truth, she thought. Riftan refused at first, so my father cornered him and forced him to concede. Her gaze drifted across the hall. Her father and Riftan stood locked in a quiet, tense conversation. As if sensing her gaze, Riftan turned his head, and their eyes met. Maxi quickly looked away. A maid approached her with a slight bow. My lady, it is time for you to head to the bridal chamber. Maxi's fingers tightened around the folds of her dress. Does this young knight even know what he has taken on? She wondered. As she moved toward the corridor leading to her chambers, the sharp clacking of her father's cane made her freeze. He stopped before her, his piercing gaze filled with cold scrutiny. The maid bowed immediately. Your Grace. Maxi kept her eyes lowered, her shoulders drawn inward. Her father clicked his tongue in disgust. That long face of yours is why people are gossiping, he sneered. This is your chance to prove your worth. If you fail, you won't get away with a light punishment, you useless thing. Maxi swallowed hard, remaining silent. As she reached her chambers, a suffocating darkness settled over her thoughts. No one will ever love me. Seated before the mirror, Maxi sat stiffly as the maid brushed her hair. The air in the chamber was heavy, thick with unspoken dread. You must remain as still as a corpse, the maid instructed, her tone impassive. That is the virtue of a lady. Maxi's hands trembled in her lap. Her voice came out as a whisper. But he was so big, what do I do if he strikes me? The maid's expression remained unreadable. If that is your husband's will, there is nothing you can do. Maxi's breath hitched. But I am scared. The maid's tone turned sharper. His Grace will be furious if you ruin this marriage. Maxi clenched her hands. Father may very well kill me, but Riftan was also forced into this arrangement. The door creaked open. She flinched. Riftan stepped inside. Riftan's broad figure cast a long shadow across the dimly lit chamber. The maid quickly slipped out of the room without a word, leaving them alone. Maxi kept her gaze lowered, her heart hammering in her chest. Silence stretched between them before Riftan finally spoke. I know you find me horrendous, he said, his voice low, but we must honor our obligations. She barely dared to breathe. Riftan exhaled sharply. Speak now if you don't want this. I will not force you. Do you want me to leave? Maxi's fingers twisted into the fabric of her dress. Her lips parted, but the words tangled on her tongue. Flustered and nervous, she shook her head. No. Riftan sighed and ran a hand through his hair. Then, without another word, he pulled his shirt over his head, revealing the hard lines of his battle-worn body. Maxi's breath caught. Her face burned as she stammered. Why are you undressing? Riftan flinched slightly, then looked at her with unreadable eyes. Do you want me to leave? Maxi's pulse pounded in her ears. Trembling, she slipped off her dress, embarrassment twisting in her chest. Riftan's jaw tightened. His voice was hoarse as he muttered. Just bear it, even if you don't want to, because I won't be able to stop now. The next morning, when Maxi finally opened her eyes, sunlight had already begun to seep through the curtains. She slowly sat up, her body aching. The space beside her was cold. Riftan was gone. He had left for the dragon campaign before she had even woken up. Alone in the vast, empty bed, Maxi wrapped her arms around herself, swallowing the lump in her throat. And today, he has finally returned. Maxi sat frozen, her fingers gripping the fabric of her dress as she stared at the floor. If I listen to father and plead with Riftan, will that change his mind? After all, we only spent one night together. Her thoughts shattered at the sound of heavy boots thudding against the stone floor. She turned toward the doorway just as he stepped in. Riftan Calypso stood before her, clad in dark armor, his towering presence radiating raw power. His gaze swept over her before he let out a dry, humorless chuckle. "Well, this is a sight to behold," he drawled. "My trembling wife, awaiting her husband's return from the trenches." Maxi flinched at his tone. She swallowed hard. "Why, you've returned safely." Riftan's expression darkened. His jaw tightened, his entire body going rigid. Seeing his reaction, panic coiled in Maxi's chest. Father was right. What kind of man would want a stuttering wife? Her hands fidgeted in front of her as her thoughts spiraled. "I can't do this." Riftan's eyes flickered with something unreadable before his expression hardened into anger. In one swift motion, he closed the distance between them, gripping her hand a bit too firmly. His face was suddenly so close that Maxi could see the storm raging in his dark eyes. "Yes, I have returned," he ground out. "So what? You could at least pretend to be glad to see me." He released her and turned away, dragging a hand through his hair in frustration. "Damn it, it's as though I've returned to a monster, no." Maxi's heart pounded. "I'm done for, if he leaves me like this." Acting purely on instinct, she reached out and grabbed the fabric of his tunic from behind. Riftan halted, his muscles tensing beneath her trembling grip. Slowly, he turned his head toward her. "No," Maxi stammered. She struggled to find her voice. I was just nervous. I didn't know what to say." Riftan exhaled sharply, running a hand over his face. Maxi's thoughts spiraled. "I can't do this. Nobody would want a wretch like me." Suddenly, his hand reached for her chin, lifting her face. Maxi's breath caught as she met his eyes, burning with frustration, intensity, and something else. "Damn it," he muttered under his breath. Before she could process what was happening, he leaned in and pressed his lips against hers. Maxi stiffened. "P, please." But her words died as Riftan deepened the kiss. Then, a loud creak echoed from behind them, followed by the unmistakable sound of rattling armor. Still holding Maxi against him, Riftan turned toward the interruption, his expression dark with irritation. "What do you think you're doing? Peeping like a rat," he growled. A blonde-haired knight stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "How was I supposed to know you'd be busy like this in the drawing room, Commander?" he said with a smirk. "Didn't think you'd be so bold in public." Riftan's eye twitched. "Get out now." The knight let out an exaggerated sigh. "The carriage is waiting. You said you didn't want to waste time here." Riftan clenched his jaw. He was still leaning over Maxi, his body caging hers. He shot the knight a sharp glare. "Tell them to wait." Maxi remained on the sofa, her cheeks flushed, her heart hammering in her chest. Is this a marital duty too? Does that mean he still considers me his wife? After a moment, Riftan exhaled heavily, running a hand through his dark hair. He finally pulled back, creating space between them. Maxi, still dazed, found herself whispering. "But why?" The moment the words left her lips, she realized what she had said. Mortified, she quickly turned her face away. Riftan scowled. "Damn it," he muttered. "I didn't have the slightest intention of pouncing on you like that here." He stood abruptly, straightening his tunic. His voice turned sharp. "You heard him, didn't you? We're leaving." Maxi's eyes widened in shock. "Elle leaving?" Her thoughts spun wildly. "No, if he leaves now, Father will." "W8, we haven't even had a chance to talk." But her voice was swallowed by the vast room. She reached out instinctively, but her hand froze midair. Riftan didn't look back. "Have your maid pack your things," he said curtly. "She can send them with the group departing after us." Maxi's breath hitched. My things. She sprang to her feet, gripping the folds of her dress. W.I. Riftan turned to face her, his expression unreadable. Are you saying I should go alone? Maxi quickly shook her head, lowering her gaze. And no, that's not what I mean. Her mind raced. So, he's taking me with him, but where? Before she could ask, Riftan grabbed her wrist. She barely had time to react before he began leading her out of the room, his grip firm but not painful. W8, where are we going? She gasped, stumbling slightly. Riftan didn't slow down. He threw open the door, revealing a waiting carriage and a group of knights beside their horses. His voice was final, leaving no room for argument. We're going to my estate, he said, his gaze locked onto hers. Where you should have been all along. Maxi sat stiffly inside the carriage, Riftan's words echoing in her mind. You are my wife, and I don't need anyone else's permission to take you with me. Her fingers curled tightly in her lap. By law, a married woman belongs to her husband. Is that truly the case for me? The carriage rattled over uneven ground, the rhythmic clatter filling the tense silence between them. Across from her, Riftan sat motionless, his broad frame taking up much of the space. He stared out the window, his expression unreadable. How did this happen? She stole a glance at him, anxiety gnawing at her chest. I can't believe I'm leaving without saying a word. What if Father gets angry? And then another question surfaced, far more pressing. Why is Riftan taking me with him? King Reuben had offered him the princess's hand in marriage. No sane man would refuse such an opportunity. Princess Agnes, a woman of unmatched beauty, with golden hair and brilliant blue eyes, a renowned sorceress who had fought alongside Riftan in the battle against the Red Dragon. To think he could marry someone so esteemed. If the church granted their annulment, Riftan would be a fool to refuse. After all, they had only spent a single night together. He never wanted this marriage in the first place. Maxi swallowed hard. It's amazing, he even remembers me at all. Her thoughts drifted back to the moment in the drawing room when Riftan had kissed her. Why am I thinking about that now? Her face flushed red as she covered her mouth. Across from her, Riftan remained silent, still gazing out the window. Now that I think about it, wasn't he the one who started it? Shouldn't he be ashamed? What a strange man. Maxi exhaled softly and turned toward the window as the castle walls faded into the distance. The world outside stretched endlessly before her, rolling hills, vast fields, and towering mountains in the distance. Her eyes widened. Wow, she whispered, marveling at the sight. She slid the carriage window open for a better view. Maxi flinched at the low sound. She turned to find Riftan watching her, his expression unreadable. Oh. Startled, she quickly slid the window shut and sank back into her seat. Oh no, I must have irritated him. Is he angry? But Riftan only sighed before speaking. Is being with me really such a horrible thing? Maxi's head snapped up. And no, that's not. His sharp gaze didn't waver. Then what is it? Do you wish to go back? Go back? No. If she returned, her father might truly kill her. Maxi's heart pounded as she scrambled for an answer. And no, it's not that, she stammered. I've just never been in a carriage for this long before. Her fingers twisted into the fabric of her dress, trembling slightly. Riftan studied her for a moment, then exhaled and leaned back against his seat. I don't know much about you, and you probably don't know much about me either. But we are going to be spending the rest of our lives together. Maxi swallowed hard. The rest of our lives. Riftan shifted, his dark eyes steady on hers. We are husband and wife. We are to live together for the rest of our days, are we not? His voice lowered. I may be of low birth, but even I hold the vows of marriage sacred, he scoffed. It seems that's not the case for you. Maxi's eyes widened. What? I have never. If not that, then what is it? He suddenly reached for her hand, gripping it firmly. For the past 3 years, he ground out, you've chosen to stay at Croiso Castle instead of coming to my estate. Maxi tensed, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't know where it was. Don't play coy, Riftan snapped. My men went to your castle several times to escort you. His grip tightened slightly. The Duke's daughter may not care for a pitiful piece of land, but Anatol is a place I hold dear. It was your duty to be there. Maxi's chest tightened. No one ever told me. She clenched her hands. I didn't know. No one ever told me. Riftan's face was inches from hers, his dark eyes flashing with barely restrained anger. And what were you planning to do if you were pregnant? He demanded. Maxi's breath hitched. That child would have been the heir to Anatol, he continued. But still, you. A sudden, violent jolt cut him off. The carriage lurched, throwing Maxi forward. Before she could fall, Riftan's arms shot out, steadying her against his chest. From outside, a voice rang out. Commander, there are ogres ahead. Riftan cursed under his breath. Damn it. Another voice called out, should we engage? Riftan's expression hardened. Cast a shield on the carriage first. His grip on Maxi tightened briefly before he released her. Without another word, he swung the carriage door open. Maxi's blood ran cold. Where are you going? She stammered. Riftan's sharp gaze met hers. Whatever happens, do not come out. And then he was gone. Maxi clutched her hands over her ears, trying to block out the chaos outside. The sounds of steel clashing, the guttural roars of monstrous creatures, and the shouts of men filled the air. Her body trembled violently. What do I do? I'm scared, I'm so scared. Outside, the battlefield erupted into chaos. One of the knights cursed as he barely dodged a swinging club. Where the hell did they pick up our scent? Sir, there are more coming from the rear, another shouted. A massive ogre charged toward Riftan, its beady eyes filled with rage. But before it could even lift its weapon, Riftan moved. With a single, devastating swing of his sword, he sliced straight through the monster's thick flesh as if it were nothing more than paper. The ogre collapsed, split clean in half. Inside the carriage, Maxi pressed her trembling hands over her ears, trying to block out the deafening clash of steel and monstrous roars. I heard rumors about monsters appearing near the castle, but I never imagined. Her chest tightened as fear took hold. We haven't even gone that far. Unable to resist, she slowly peeked through the carriage window. Her breath caught. A towering ogre stood just outside. Its grotesque face twisted into a snarl, yellowed teeth bared, as it let out a bone-shaking growl. Maxi's blood ran cold. A monster. Panic seized her. She scrambled away from the window, desperate to put distance between herself and the creature. But in her panic, she shoved against the opposite door. Clunk. The latch gave way. Before she could react, the door swung open, and she tumbled out of the carriage. Her body slammed into the ground. The air was knocked from her lungs as dirt and gravel scraped against her skin. Her heart pounded violently. He told me to stay inside. My lady. Maxi turned her head. A mage stood nearby, his robes whipping through the air as he fought off another ogre. You must get back inside at once, he shouted. We've placed a shield on the carriage. Still dazed, Maxi tried to push herself up. I didn't mean to come out. The carriage was shaking. You'll only be in the way out here. The mage cut her off, unleashing a burst of magic before rushing back toward the front lines. Maxi's body trembled. I have to move. I have to get up. But before she could stand, a massive shadow fell over her. Her breath hitched. Slowly, she looked up. A giant ogre loomed above her. Its enormous foot lifted into the air, ready to crush her. She froze. Terror flooded every inch of her body. I'm going to die. She squeezed her eyes shut, bracing for the impact. Then, a powerful gust of wind tore past her. A flash of silver. And a sickening thud. Slowly, Maxi opened her eyes. The ogre was no longer standing. Its massive body collapsed to the ground. Its head severed clean from its shoulders. And standing before her was Riftan. His sword dripped with dark blood. His chest rose and fell heavily. Maxi. He called her name, his voice filled with something she couldn't quite understand. But Maxi could barely process anything anymore. Her vision blurred. Her body, already shaking from fear, gave in. Her thoughts faded into one final whisper. My punishment has finally come. And then, everything went black. A haze of memories began to surface in Maxi's mind. She was small again, trembling on the cold stone floor of Croiso Castle. Her tiny hands clutched the hem of her dress as her body shook. Above her stood the Duke, her father, his face twisted with fury. Clack. His cane struck the ground, the sharp sound cutting through the silence. Useless creature, he spat. Not only a burden, but one who can't even speak properly. It would have been better if you had died with your mother. Maxi flinched. Once, she had longed for his love. She had tried, desperately, to earn his approval. But all she ever received were insults. A disgrace to our house. A stumbling block. A pathetic girl's, no better than a rodent. As a child, she would hide in the shadows, curled up with her knees to her chest, silent tears streaming down her face. She would whisper softly into the fur of her only friend, her loyal dog. You won't leave me, will you? The dog never answered. It only pressed closer to her. Its steady warmth, the only comfort she had. But deep down, she had always known. No matter how obedient she was, no matter how hard she tried, her father would never love her. Not like he loved Rosetta, the perfect, beautiful daughter. Even now, the thought tore at her heart. I am nothing. A useless nobody. It's only right that I'm abandoned. Like a broken horse. An outcast. Maxi. A voice cut through the darkness. The memory began to fade. Maxi. The voice grew clearer, warmer. Her eyes slowly opened. Riftan's face hovered above hers. His sharp features, touched with something unfamiliar. Concern. Are you awake? Maxi's breath caught as she jolted upright. Her eyes darted around the room. Where am I? Riftan gently brushed his hand across her forehead. At an inn near Zeno, he said. After you fainted, we left the woods and came here. His tone shifted slightly. Our schedule is delayed because of that. Maxi's fingers tightened around the bedsheets. Riftan continued, his voice low. And it seemed you fainted at the sight of me, not the ogre. Her face burned with embarrassment as the memory came rushing back. I am sorry, she whispered. Riftan handed her a wooden bowl. Drink this, you've been sweating, you need water. Maxi hesitated, staring down at the bowl in her hands. He's not angry. If it had been her father, the cane would have already come down on her. But Riftan simply stood there, watching her, his expression unreadable, but not cruel. He almost looks concerned. Maxi studied him carefully. Riftan narrowed his eyes. I didn't poison it if that's what you're thinking. Drink. I will, Maxi said quickly, bringing the bowl to her lips. Riftan exhaled, running a hand through his dark hair. Tell me if you're in pain. I'll fetch a cleric. Maxi's eyes widened. A cleric, they're expensive. Is he really worried about me? As Riftan moved toward the door, Maxi glanced around the room. The wooden walls were worn, and the faint scent of damp wood lingered in the air. So, this is what a commoner's inn looks like. Her nose wrinkled slightly. Do people really sleep here? But as she pulled the blanket closer, she paused. Carefully, she sniffed it. It smelled clean. That's a relief. Then suddenly, she froze. Her heart nearly stopped. Her hands gripped the fabric covering her body. WIMI. Her voice came out louder than she intended. Riftan turned, raising a brow. What now? Maxi's face turned bright red. She quickly pulled the blanket over her head, her entire body stiff. Are you feeling sick again? Riftan frowned. I'll call a cleric. And no, Maxi peeked out from under the blanket, her voice trembling. It's just my clothes. He blinked. She squeezed her eyes, shut in embarrassment. I mean, I'm not wearing my clothes. Riftan let out a tired sigh, setting aside the bowl he had been holding. You are clothed, he said, gesturing casually. Get up. But these aren't mine. Of course they aren't, he replied flatly. That's my tunic. Maxi stared at him in shock. Riftan crossed his arms. The clothes you were wearing were soaked. I had them washed. You'll get them back tomorrow. Maxi clutched the blanket tighter, panic rising in her voice. But why would you? There's no point hiding it now, Riftan said gruffly. I already saw everything when I was cleaning you. Maxi froze. See cleaning me? Her mind went blank. What about my undergarments? She asked weakly. Riftan shrugged. They were torn. I threw them away. Her face burned even hotter. What? I had no choice, he said sharply. You couldn't breathe, you were turning blue. She went still. Riftan ran a hand over his face, clearly irritated. And that thing wrapped around your chest, he muttered. I was just trying to loosen it. I didn't know it was all connected. Maxi opened her mouth. But no words came out. Riftan, seemingly done with the conversation, turned back to what he was doing. You can borrow more if you need to. Maxi shook her head quickly. And no, thank you. Wearing this is already embarrassing enough. Riftan let out a frustrated sigh, leaning back against the wall. Damn it, all I did was change your clothes. He paused, then added under his breath. We've already spent a night together, even if it was 3 years ago. You shouldn't be fainting just because I touched you. Maxi's eyes widened. It's not like that. But Riftan cut her off with a dry scoff. The problem with noblewomen is that they faint at the slightest thing. Maxi's breath hitched. I finally angered him. First I fainted, then caused a scene, and now I've delayed our journey. Of course, he would hate me. Her hands trembled beneath the blanket. He might even abandon me here. But just as that thought settled in, Riftan turned back, carrying a tray of food. He set it down beside her with a quiet thud. What's wrong now? He asked. His tone was calmer, though still rough. Maxi blinked at him. He pushed the plate toward her. Here, bread and soup. Eat while it's warm. Her fingers hesitated before gripping the spoon. It's late, Riftan added. I'll get you proper clothes tomorrow and more of those strange undergarments. Maxi lifted the spoon slowly. But her thoughts spiraled. I don't understand him. One moment he's angry, the next, he's taking care of me. Is this what a husband is supposed to do? After a few bites, she set the bowl aside. Riftan frowned. You barely ate. I've had enough, she murmured softly. His expression tightened slightly. I can already tell, this is going to be a headache. Trying to satisfy a noble lady's appetite. Maxi's chest tightened. He regrets bringing me. No one ever wants me. Her fingers tightened around the blanket. Then finally, she asked the question that had been weighing on her heart. Why are you taking me with you? Riftan stilled. His eyes flickered. What? He asked. Maxi swallowed. I know, you didn't want to marry me. So, I don't understand why you're bringing me. She lowered her gaze. If you want to divorce me, I'd rather you tell me now. Her grip tightened. If he's going to abandon me, it's better now. Silence filled the room. Then, Riftan's entire body tensed. His eyes darkened. Did you just say divorce? Before she could react, he grabbed her shoulders, his voice sharp with anger. Were you with another man while I was gone? Maxi gasped. And no, of course not. Then why the hell would you say that? His grip tightened, his anger barely contained. Tears filled her eyes. Everyone said when you returned, you would leave me. That you would marry the princess instead. Her vision blurred. Her shoulders trembled. I've only made him angrier. I will be abandoned. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Riftan inhaled sharply. His hands twitched. Then suddenly, damn it all. Before she could react, he pulled her into his arms. W8, what are you doing? Maxi struggled, her legs kicking slightly. Put me down. But Riftan held her tighter, his expression unreadable, his grip firm. And in that moment, something between them began to change. Riftan sat on the edge of the bed, still holding her. Gently, he pressed a kiss against her cheek. You're real, right? His voice was low, soft, filled with something she couldn't name. I don't know what rumors you've heard, but I rejected that proposal a long time ago. I even asked if the king had gone mad, suggesting that to a married man. His tone darkened. Marriage is sacred. If anyone dares to break that oath, I'll deal with them myself. Maxi fidgeted nervously. But it's the princess, she whispered. She's beautiful and dignified. Unlike me. Riftan looked at her closely. Have you met Agnes before? Maxi's heart tightened. Agnes? He calls her by her name, as if reading her thoughts. Riftan scoffed. I don't like women like that. Too sharp, too troublesome. His arms remained around her. My temperament doesn't suit palace life. And I have no intention of chasing after some arrogant princess. Maxi shivered slightly. Riftan leaned closer, his breath warm against her skin. Or are you just using that as an excuse? Do you actually want a divorce? Maxi shook her head quickly. And no. Their faces were close now. Too close. She squeezed her eyes shut. Riftan exhaled. Then that's all that matters. No matter what anyone says. We are husband and wife. His voice hardened slightly. So don't say something like that again. He pulled back just a little, giving her space. Maxi looked at him, confused. Then suddenly, he pulled the blanket off her. Hey, she yelped. Riftan, he corrected. What? She stammered, flustered. Riftan stood beside the bed, leaning slightly as he looked down at her. Not hey, Riftan, he said. You do know your husband's name, right? Slowly, he leaned in closer. Maxi's thoughts spiraled. Wait, are we doing this again? Her body tensed as memories of their first night resurfaced. The fear, the pain. But just as suddenly as he leaned in, Riftan stopped. Maxi blinked in confusion. Huh, why did he stop? Tilting his head slightly, Riftan asked. You don't want to. Maxi froze. Riftan knelt beside the bed, his expression unreadable. Yet, there was something different in his eyes. Something softer. We're married, he said quietly. But I won't force you if you don't want it. Maxi's heart raced. What should I do? If I refuse, will he leave me again? She looked at him carefully. His usual harsh expression had softened. He even refused the princess, for me. Her heart pounded. Slowly, she lay back on the bed. Riftan watched her for a moment, then gently leaned down again. Morning came. Soft birdsong filled the air. Maxi slowly opened her eyes, her body feeling strangely light. As her mind cleared, memories of the previous night came rushing back. Her face turned bright red. Was my memory of our first night wrong? Instead of fear, this time she had felt something else. Something warm. She buried her face in the pillow. I didn't hate it. After a moment, she peeked up. Riftan was sleeping beside her, his usually sharp features now calm and relaxed. She hesitated, then slowly reached out, running her fingers through his hair. He looked so tense yesterday, but now, he looks almost peaceful. His words from the night before echoed in her mind. It was painful, leaving you 3 years ago. I thought about you the whole time. Her chest tightened. Was that really true? As she gently brushed his hair, she suddenly froze. His eyes opened and locked onto hers. Maxi jolted, flustered. Riftan, it's morning. A slow smile formed on his lips. In one motion, he pulled her closer. Yeah, it is morning. I thought I'd go crazy waiting for you to wake up. Maxi's face burned. He wasn't even asleep. Riftan gently brushed his hand over her arm. Are you hurt anywhere? She quickly shook her head. No. He tilted her chin up slightly, a teasing look in his eyes. How was last night? Before she could answer, he pressed a soft kiss to her head. I liked it, he murmured, more than I expected. Riftan, Maxi stammered, completely flustered. He took her hand gently. You're unlucky, marrying someone like me. Maxi blinked. What? Before he could explain, a loud knock echoed from the door. Commander, how long are you going to stay in there? A voice called from outside. Maxi froze in horror. Oh no. From beneath the covers, she whispered urgently. Riftan, someone's outside. Riftan sighed, clearly annoyed. Another voice followed from outside. You can rest later, please come out already. And just like that, the moment was broken. The sun was already high in the sky. A loud knock echoed through the room. Riftan growled as he stood up, wrapping a blanket loosely around his waist. Didn't I warn you? He snapped toward the door. If you interrupt me again, you won't like the outcome. The man outside stammered nervously. But sir, you're supposed to return to the capital immediately once we arrive. Riftan cut him off with a scowl. I said we're delaying it by a day. It's not a life or death situation. So stop talking and get the carriage ready. A moment of silence followed. Then hurried footsteps retreated. Riftan sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. Damn it, I shouldn't have brought those idiots along. He turned back and noticed Maxi completely hidden under the blanket. He frowned slightly. What's wrong? Are you hurt? From under the covers, her voice came out muffled. And no, that's not it. Riftan smirked faintly and reached out, ruffling her hair through the blanket. You know, I've got a bad temper. If you don't say anything, I won't know what you're thinking. Slowly, Maxi peeked her head out. Her face was completely red. Those people outside. They know, don't they? The realization hit her all at once. There's no soundproofing. Riftan froze for a second, then suddenly burst out laughing. Maxi frowned, still mortified. Why is he laughing? Chuckling, Riftan leaned down and pressed a light kiss to her forehead. Don't be so embarrassed, he said softly. We're married. What happened is completely normal. Maxi's cheeks burned even hotter. Husband and wife. Riftan smirked. That's right. It's what every married couple does. Another knock echoed through the door. Riftan groaned in frustration. I knew I shouldn't have brought them. With an annoyed sigh, he stood up to get dressed. Maxi gasped quietly and quickly turned her head away, her face burning. Completely unfazed, Riftan dressed himself. "Wait here," he said. "I'll have someone bring your clothes." Still flustered, Maxi nodded quickly. "Okay." Another impatient knock. "Commander, how long is this going to take?" Riftan muttered under his breath. "I'm coming, relax." He opened the door and stepped out, shutting it firmly behind him. Silence filled the room. Maxi stared at the door for a moment. His words echoed in her mind. Was that really just something couples do? She shook her head quickly. "No, what am I thinking? I should just be grateful he brought me along. I've already caused enough trouble." She took a deep breath. "I should get ready." A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. "My lady, I've brought the clothes your husband prepared." A maid entered, bowing politely as she held out a neatly folded dress. Maxi hesitated for a moment. "Ah, thank you, please come in." She accepted the dress and carefully changed into it. Standing before the mirror, she paused. The gown was a deep, elegant red. Beautiful. Far more refined than anything she had worn before. "It's pretty," she whispered. She reached behind her, trying to fasten it. But her hands couldn't quite reach. "Ugh." She struggled awkwardly. "I didn't realize dressing alone would be this hard." Then suddenly, a thought crossed her mind. Earlier, when the maid had handed her the clothes, she had said cheerfully, "Your husband also ordered undergarments for you." Startled, Maxi immediately shook her head. "I'll put them on myself. You can go." Now, struggling with the dress, she hesitated. "Maybe it's not too late to ask for help. But I don't want to cause any more trouble." Just then, the door creaked open. Riftan stepped inside, fully dressed in armor. A dark cloak draped over his shoulders, a sword resting at his side. His presence alone filled the room. His eyes landed on her. "Maxi, are you ready?" She turned quickly, her cheeks still flushed. Sorry, I'm delaying everyone my clothes." He stopped mid-sentence. His gaze lingered on her. The crimson dress shimmered softly in the morning light, perfectly matching her red hair. For a brief moment, his eyes darkened. Then he quickly looked away, fixing his gaze toward the door. "Don't apologize," he muttered. "I didn't expect you'd have trouble dressing yourself." After a short pause, he stepped closer, standing behind her. "I'll do it." His fingers reached for the back of her dress, lightly brushing against her skin as he fastened it. Maxi shivered slightly at the sudden contact, but stayed still. Thank you," she whispered. Riftan finished fastening the dress, his voice low. "I bought it in a hurry, so you might not like it. I'll get you something better when we arrive." Maxi blinked in surprise. Why wouldn't I like it? To her, this dress was more beautiful than anything she had ever owned. A memory surfaced. Back at the castle, the maids would sigh. "You're growing too fast. It's a good thing we still have leftover fabric from Lady Rosetta's dresses. Just endure it. Patience is a virtue for noble women." Maxi clenched her hands. Patience. But now, standing in a dress made just for her, she felt something unfamiliar. Warmth. A quiet sense of belonging. Slowly, she lowered her gaze, doubt creeping back in. I'm not the noble lady he thinks I am. If he finds out the truth, he'll be disappointed. Just then, she felt his hands rest gently on her shoulders. "I'll give you the best," Riftan said quietly. "Everything you had before, and more." She hesitated, then replied softly, "These clothes are more than enough." Riftan exhaled, then took her hand. "Let's go." She followed him outside, walking a few steps behind. Her thoughts swirled. I don't want him to know the truth. Not yet. Outside, The knights were already preparing for departure. The air buzzed with movement and urgency. Among them stood a man with reddish-brown hair.